Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film, I'm So Excited. It's the latest from Pedro Almodovar. A plane on its way to Mexico from Spain. They find out that the plane, when it's going to land, will have all sorts of landing problems because the landing gear has malfunctioned and the crew helping with takeoff left one of the chuck things there and didn't pick it up, so the landing gear took that in. So when they land, they're not sure if they will crash, if they'll split in two, or they'll make it there safe. So they have to find an airport that will take them and let them land in such a manner. But on the way to all of that, it's basically a sex farce with 3 bisexual stewards and the pilots and the people in first class, because everyone in coach is passed out because they gave them muscle relaxers and they're farting a lot. And it becomes a very funny, very gay sex farce while they're waiting to land or crash to their deaths in a Mexican airport. This film in America is called I'm So Excited, and I believe in most of the English-speaking world it's called I'm So Excited. This original Spanish title, and you can see that if you see the film, the opening title card is Los Amantes, Pasajeros, which does not translate to I'm So Excited, although they try to act like it does on the title card if you see it. In English, it actually has a dual meaning. It means the fleeting lovers and the passenger lovers, which are both actually kind of better titles than I'm So Excited. It's called I'm So Excited because of the really hilarious musical sequence where the 3 stewards lip sync very perfectly the Pointer Sisters' I'm So Excited and do kind of a silly dance number. The kind of dance number that it's actually, I think, really hard to do funny dance. It's one thing to dance badly, but it's another thing to dance badly with skill or do a dance that makes people laugh. And I think that's very true about the sequence of I'm So Excited. And it's really kind of the standout of the film. It's absolutely hilarious. There's no way you can't laugh at it. It almost works like a Bubbly Berkeley sequence because you're like, well, not everyone on the plane would actually see it this way. I mean, they'd probably be like, wait, what's going on over there? It plays it up so well. It's just absolutely hilarious. The difference in title, I think, goes into a lot of why this film is played up and advertised for the sex farce-ness of it and the comedy of it rather than the kind of political satire that's underneath, because in Spain it's about 26% unemployment right now, or close to that, and the political situation isn't great. There's a lot of financial scandals, there's empty airports, these ghost airports that politicians made that didn't end up making any money and became huge, colossal failures, which they bring up in the film. Several of the people in first class have had various scandals against them financially. Not having a lot of background with that, you can still enjoy this film, and it's still very funny. That's why they can just completely rename it and they're kind of fine. If you know anything about Spain and what's going on with the Spanish economy or live in Spain, I'm sure this is a different viewing experience than what I experienced, but I thought it was very funny and I liked it quite a bit. I think it's one of the gayest comedies I've seen in a long time, probably the gayest movie I've seen in a long time, but it's very flamboyant about it. It very much loves it. There's no shame in it at all. In fact, I think this is one of the few gay comedies where there's not really any homophobia. Almost everyone on the flight crew or the stewards is either gay or closeted gay and very easily to become gay. But I thought this was one of the funnier comedies of the year just because it's one of those things where you think, oh, so they're just stuck on a plane for this whole movie? How can this sustain itself? But Almodovar made a really funny movie, and it says a lot about a director that they can make something as boring as an airplane be fairly entertaining and very entertaining. I don't think about how I'm stuck in this airplane the whole time. It doesn't have this feeling of claustrophobia. It has this feeling of freeness and funness with the actors that I don't think you'd really expect from a movie like this. There are parts that aren't in the plane, certainly. There are a few parts, but most of it is within the plane. You could kind of compare it to Airplane. It's not really making fun of a genre in that way, but it is kind of like, I'd say, an airplane or even a soul plane. It could be like an airplane disaster, although it doesn't really get into it. I feel like if Almodovar did do a disaster movie, he'd just make this instead, and it's probably a lot more fun than that would have been anyway. I feel like Almodovar, I haven't seen him have fun like this in a long time. I've seen a lot more dramas from him. I'm actually not as familiar with his comedies. I kind of got introduced to him from All About My Mother, and I've kind of just tried to see every one of his films since then, and I've pretty much liked all of them. I'm not as familiar with his comedies from the 80s. I kind of feel like I definitely should, and I've heard if you are more familiar with him, you're not as into this film. This is kind of him going back to that. He hasn't done that in quite a bit, but I had a good time, and I think that's really what this film is concerned with solely. You don't actually see the chucks gets stuck in the landing gear. You're aware that something happened during the landing gear with the small cameo from Antonio Banderas and Penelope Cruz. There's certain things about the political scandal stuff that you just hear referred to, but they don't really show you, because he'd much rather show you fun and silliness and jokes and these silly characters. I'm not as into the melodrama in this film than I am from some of his other films that I think actually works and has a odd realness to it that melodrama rarely has usually. This, it felt more like melodrama, but honestly I think I was more concerned with the laughs and the humor in it, and I think this worked really well with the humor, and it kind of works in the same way The Heat does, where it's like, let's just have this stripped down and be about the characters. And since that's really all he had, I mean, what are you going to show, the outside of the fucking plane a bunch of times? That's boring. He knew how to use what he had and work with it very well. I'm So Excited is a very funny sex farce, very gay comedy with almost looks like it's shot in Technicolor the way he uses color. He always does that, but I feel like this time the colors are so bright and so standoutish. Really a nice color palette to see. I don't think I've seen such a fun color palette from a movie in a little bit. It just has such a very joyous, fun color palette, kind of like almost a 60s comedy. I feel like right now he's been trying to do different stuff, and whether it's The Skin I Live In or I'm So Excited, he's really kind of tested what he can do. He's at an interesting stage in his career, and I kind of like where he is right now, because I really feel like I don't know what to expect from him. If I had seen Voltaire, I didn't expect I'm So Excited, and I don't know what to expect next from him. And that's an interesting place to be for me as a viewer and for him as a director, and it'll be fun to see where he's going with that. So if you have seen I'm So Excited and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.